What's up guys, C2113 here, and in today's video we're going to be unboxing the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. Alright guys, so what we got here is the Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G. Now, just like I said in my Fold unboxing, I'm wearing gloves to minimize fingerprints, but of course, once we get into the user interface and going through the software portion, because of the fingerprint scanner and all that, I'm gonna have to take the gloves off. But until we get there, I'd like to keep the fingerprints to a minimum. So this is currently available for $9.99 on Amazon. And they are actually doing a special deal where if you get the 256 gig version, it's still $9.99. So same price for both. So honestly, you know, no brainer there. Get the higher storage option if you don't care about the color. That's because the 256 gig version is only available in black. Wouldn't have been my design choice. I think everybody should have their options and choices of colors and storage options. But I understand from a manufacturing point of view, that probably makes it easier. Now, if you'd order this through the pre-order from Samsung directly, you would have gotten some promo deals and credit and stuff, but that time is come and gone. So now with Amazon, as always, you know, I'll leave the links below for that in case you guys are interested. But still, there's a decent deal and you still can do a trade-in through Amazon. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and take a look at what comes in the box. Now, if you guys are wondering why I get this, I do have the Fold, and if you want to see the video for that, you can click the card above. I did the unboxing on this. My reason for getting the Flip here is simply because I really want to see what the Flip's all about. You know, I remember seeing the Flip when it first came out and the Flip 5G, and to me, you know, and for my use case, it seemed like a huge gimmick. However, I soon realized, hey, not everyone has large pants pockets like me. Not everyone is capable of carrying around a large slab like I am. But if you're looking for a large screen and a small package, something like the Flip is really the only way to do it. So, you know, it's grown on me. It still wouldn't be my choice, you know what I mean? For my daily driver, it's still gonna be something like the Fold, or if I didn't have the Fold, something like a Note, you know, like my Note 9, for example. And so, you know, it's definitely not for me. However, it's so interesting, I had to pick one up to check it out. So let's go ahead and open it up. Now what I have here is the black 128 gigabyte version. And we'll go ahead and take a look at it here. And of course, usual disclaimer, it's a new Samsung phone, no charger in the box. So that's kind of a given. But there it is in its unfolded form. And again, like with the Fold, I'm just feeling it in my hand right now. I already have to comment, it's a lot more solid than I was expecting. I think when I saw all the videos of the Flip and the Flip 5G, to me, it just was like, man, that's gotta be kind of flimsy, but I don't know if this is any improvement since I never had one of those. But for me, from my point of view, this is very solid. Okay, before we unwrap that, let's just do the standard, what else is in the box? Well, USB-C cable, flip it over, your SIM ejection tool, and your quick start guide. So again, nothing else new. So now that we've got that out of the way, why don't we just take a look at the phone, because that's what I'm really interested in here. So you'll notice on these, they put this black, the wrapper actually has a black cover on the screen, and I don't know what that's for, honestly, but my guess is that it improves people's first impressions of the phone when they first pull it out, because it hides the crease a little bit, because obviously with this black cover, you can't see the crease. And I think even though people, I think, are wising up to the fact that it doesn't really matter, the crease kind of disappears when you're using it, I'm guessing they're still a little self-conscious about that as a company, but hopefully next generation they get rid of that. So there it is. Now, just looking at it from, wow, it looks like it almost has some smudges on it already, but yeah, it's all right. So just looking at it in comparison to my Fold, even thinking about when my Fold was new out of the box, this crease looks less pronounced than on the Fold. I don't know if you can see that. Looks less pronounced. Another thing to note, you'll see where the camera is, the front protection layer is actually cut out for around the camera. I don't know why they would do that, especially since they didn't even do that on the Fold, which has that under screen camera, which was already not the highest quality, and yet it's supposedly obscured by the protection layer. I don't know if you can tell by my annoyed tone, but that is always a terrible idea. You never want to have any jagged edges or excess curves or anything like that in your screen protection layer, because things will get caught in it. And while it's better it's a dipped cutout instead of a circular cutout, that's still not a good idea, because not only is it a place that things could get caught underneath and lift it, but dirt and oil and grease, I guarantee you, will accumulate inside that lip. And because it's recessed, it makes it harder to clean and actually will end up making the camera look worse. So honestly, Samsung, I have no idea why you would make a cutout here instead of just having the protection layer go all the way to the top and cover the camera. I guarantee you, I promise you, a PET layer of plastic will not obscure that camera enough to make any discernible or appreciable difference. The only thing it's doing is gonna make this way more annoying to clean. But, rant out of the way, let's look around the rest of this device. If we look in the back here, we've got Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and the back here. You've got your little display here. You've got your flash, your two cameras. Note you don't have a telephoto lens. You only got a wide and ultra wide. On this side, I believe, you got your cutout here. That's going to be for your ultra wideband 5G. And then you've got your SIM tray. On this side, you got your combo fingerprint sensor lock button. And then over here, you've got your volume rocker. Now, I know they're dealing with a lot of technology that they're trying to package into a really small form factor. However, it would make a lot more sense if the fingerprint sensor was under the hinge and the volume rocker was just above it, where the fingerprint sensor and lock button are now. Because then if you think about it, if you're holding in your hand, your thumb is right here. And, I guess maybe I have small hands. Maybe, you Gigantor people, your thumb already reaches all the way up there. But even if that's the case, and your thumb does reach all the way up there, it's still unnaturally high to get to the volume rocker. And for me, with smaller hands, it's just an enormous stretch. Now, I can do it. I'm used to playing hand gymnastics with large phones at this point. But to me, the whole point of the Flip over the Fold is that it's something that you can use one-handed, at least for the most part, combined with one-handed mode and that sort of thing. So Samsung, if you can at all engineer the fingerprint sensor into the lower half underneath the Fold, and then move the volume rocker down a little bit, that would be an incredible ergonomic improvement. Now, if you've ever seen the teardown for this thing, it's worth watching. I'll see if I can link it in the description. Totally, it's not like I'm sponsored by the guy. I don't even remember the channel's name, but he does some great videos, and he did a full teardown of this phone. And if you've seen it, you'll realize that the amount of stuff going on the top half is insane. The bottom half, there's a lot going on too, don't get me wrong, right? You've got, your bottom firing speaker, you've got the charging port, and, there's a bigger battery in here. But the thing is, on the top, the battery in this half is much, much smaller because there's so much going on. You've got this display, you've got your two cameras, you've got the flash, you've got your fingerprint sensor and the volume rocker. You've got your SIM card slot taking up room. You've got your antennas and stuff. So it's very crowded in here. And so I understand why, they're dealing with that. But, for example, if they could move the fingerprint sensor and power button down, maybe that would free up some room up here. So I know that's part of the reason why the screen isn't bigger on the top part, because they knew that if they tried to stretch out the screen all the way, it would eat into even more room that they wanted to use for the battery. That's part of the reason why the battery on the Flip is so much worse than on the Fold, because on the Fold, you're essentially taking a slightly narrower smartphone, but a standard height smartphone, right? And then just putting another one next to it and connecting the two. So for the most part, you can have two reasonably sized batteries next to each other and they just fold. With this, you're taking a single regular sized smartphone and then putting a giant barrier in between that, and also has to be sealed and waterproofed like it is now. And then you've got to find a way to house the components on two separate sides of this big partition. And so that's part of the reason why this device is just inherently worse when it comes to internal capacity for components and batteries. So enough talking though, why don't we go ahead and turn this thing on for the first time? All right, She's booting up. And again, the same thing I mentioned in my Fold unboxing, I want to mention here. It says Samsung Galaxy, and that's it. It doesn't list the model name whatsoever. So like on my Note 9, for example, when it boots up, it says Samsung Galaxy Note 9, right? But on this, and on the Fold, it just says Samsung Galaxy. So, all right, guys, so we are here. We're at the start screen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and set this thing up as quickly as possible. Again, with this one, I really just wanna be able to show this thing off to you guys, and it's only 128 gigs. There's no way it would accept all my backup data anyway. So I'm gonna try and breeze through the setup as quickly as possible so that I can just get you guys into the OS so that we can talk about it, go through some of the features, flex mode and that sort of thing, because those are the real reasons why someone's gonna buy something like this, aside from the form factor. It's also just the incredible feature set. So anyway, I'll be right back after we get this thing set up. All right, guys, so I've had a chance to set this thing up and play with it a little bit, and hopefully I can give you guys my first impressions of it. Obviously, I'm going to need more time to give you guys a full review, but for now, let's just talk about it. In terms of usability, when this thing is open, honestly, unless you're looking at it from a strange angle, I don't even notice the crease. And so for me, it's a very nice experience. And in addition, this thing is slightly more narrow than, let's say, a Note series phone. And so as a result, when you've got it in one hand, it's much easier to make it all the way across the screen without actually accidentally touching the display. So one-hand usability is great. And of course, again, something that I don't see people mention often enough. I really don't understand why, because I see so many tech reviewers talk like they're power users, and yet they never bring up this feature. And this is on both like the Fold, the Flip, and even other Samsung phones that are just, conventional bar type phones. One-handed mode, okay? Super easy. I like using the gesture settings. Basically, when you go to settings here, you go to advanced, and then you go right here to one-handed mode. Make sure it's turned on, and then you either have gesture or button. Button, you can double tap the home button. It'll go into one-handed mode. I like gesture. It just makes it easier for me because sometimes I might accidentally double tap the home button. But basically, if let's say I'm here and I want to access something on the top of the screen. Now, obviously, I have the quick pull down for the notification center, but if I wanted to access the top of the screen, just pull down on the home button area, and bam, I have access to the top part of the screen. I can do all of this with one hand and with my thumb without adjusting my grip. And of course, I can resize this. So let's say it's still too big. I've got even smaller fingers. I can make that shrink down even more. I can also hit this button and bring it to the other side. So if you're left-handed, it'll now be on the left side. Of course, I'm right-handed, so most often it's on my right. But that's the advantage here. You have a tall, narrower screen, but it's great because with one-handed mode, you can still access those top UI elements when you're doing it one-handed. And then when you've got two hands, definitely it's a nice experience. You've got more space. Things like flex mode seemed like I thought they'd be a little bit of a gimmick here, but I guess I have to see more how well they're actually implemented. But for now, I've checked basically just the camera and YouTube, and both seem to work pretty well. Like when you're in the camera here, this is the front-facing camera. We'll turn this around, okay? So you're just gonna see my hand and my leg. But basically, if we flex this up, you'll see you get your controls down here, and then you get the camera up here. So again, this is really nice if you're gonna set this down on the table and use this as sort of a tripod to take pictures, right? But otherwise, again, I see the same high-quality style hinge that I got on the Fold 3. Just a little bit smaller and narrower. And I'd say that for most people, the crease on this phone is going to be far less noticeable than on the Fold just because of the way it's positioned. With this, you have a much wider viewing angle, side to side certainly, when it's not visible. And really, you're only going to see it when you tilt the phone like this. And that's something that's far less likely to happen in someone's hand. Whereas when I'm holding the Fold and I've got the Fold all the way open, I'm far more likely to tilt it slightly side to side. And in sunlight, that makes the crease a lot more visible. So far, guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. The screen, by the way, excellent. I've done some tests on it. I've done the black crush test. I've done some color tests, and I'm very impressed with it. Obviously, I'm going to talk about this stuff a lot more in separate videos. I may do a separate video, or I may integrate this into part of the review. Either way, I'll just say that for once, I don't think it's just a case of a constantly repeated trope like it has been in the past, where every reviewer says, oh, you know, Samsung, they make the best displays on their phones. Well, they may make the best displays, but in the past, it seems like they haven't actually put them on their own phones. I mean, for example, Samsung made the iPhone 10 panel, and yet the iPhone 10 has a much better OLED display than the S9, the S9 Plus, and that sort of thing. So clearly, you know, there's a disconnect there with reviewers and actual user experience. But anyway, that's been my unboxing and first look video on the Galaxy Z Flip 3. If you're interested in this and you know, based on this alone, you're already interested, you want to check it out, by all means, you know, I'll leave the link in the description below. However, if you liked the video, be sure to give me a like. If you have any questions, comments, or your own experiences with the Z Flip 3, I would definitely love to hear about them. Just like I said on my Fold 3 video, you guys and your input are what makes this community powerful. You know, you helping me out, you helping other people out. Hopefully I can help you out if any way possible. So definitely leave that and any information you might have or experiences in the comments below. And as always, if you want to see more, including a full review on this thing, don't forget to get subscribed.